Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Within a matter of hours, we probably expect ARH6 to make its early drop, and that's only early because, you know what? Time's a funny thing, and the 24th will be the 24th other places in the world, and that's right, we usually get to see it on the DB first. So, before that happens, I wanted to run through the last set, the current set of spoilers we've had for ARH6 Display of Power. IRL Star Wars Destiny comes to Toronto. On Saturday, January 21st, 2023, Matthew Padula, aka Liquid Snake, is hosting a renewed Prime event at 401 Games, Toys, and Sports Card. The event starts at 1200 local time. For more information, see their Facebook event, which is linked in the description of this video. If you're in the Toronto area or want to travel, December 3rd is your day to roll some dice. Hey there, Star Wars Destiny folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast on a Thursday. And for those of you in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. That's right, happy Thanksgiving morning to all of you guys. For those of you in the rest of the world, happy almost ARH release day, depending on where you are and when you're watching this. So that's right, Destiny Friday on a Thursday, because we're having Destiny Friday tomorrow, celebrating release day of ARH6 Display of Power. Very, very exciting. So like I said in the intro, I wanted to go through the spoilers we have to date. Again, matter of hours away from seeing everything. So let's see how wrong these hot takes are here in a couple hours. All right, so going back to last week, we did look at Obi-Wan and his lightsaber last week. We do now have the high-res images that have been posted to the ARH spoiler site, so I want to go ahead and go over Obi-Wan again. So 13-15 for 12 health. Got that beefy 3 for 1. 1 discard, 2 discard, 2 shield, resource, and a blank. Guardian 2, but remember those, both not the 2 discard sides, both the discard sides can be resolved as if they were melee damage. And then he has a power action, give a character a shield and reroll any number of its character and upgrade dice. This guy's a very solid 15-point character. He's effectively a 1 melee, 2 melee, 3 melee for 1. That's pretty decent on a 15-point character with the flexibility there. Even in a vacuum, this guy seems pretty good. The Guardian 2 is very interesting to see who you can pair him with if that needs, if you need to keep him alive. The 13-15 also, it's a very interesting price. There's clearly a reason. It's a very interesting price point because this is a very, very, very strong 2-point die, right? Like a very strong 2-point die when you consider that those discards are flexible. So very interesting to see. I'll be very interested to see what the pairings are here and what the smart kids can do with them. I mean, moving on to his lightsabers, we talked about this before. This lightsaber is just good. Just a good lightsaber. 2-drop lightsabers with redeploy, very strong. Focus, I mean, what's there not to like about this other than the blank, right? And after you resolve this die, if it's on Obi-Wan himself, you can exhaust it to heal 1 damage from a character, not just him. Very, very solid upgrade. Depending on if you have Obi as a character, you probably are running 2 of these, probably. Just because it's that good to get it out early and start healing, I would think. All right, moving on to the new one. We had not covered this one last week, so this is Lightsaber Reflections. This is Apprentice Obi-Wan, the Duel of the Fates in the Naboo Plasma Generator Factory, whatever. Exhaust an upgrade you control with Lightsaber in its title to remove a die. Then, if that die was showing damage, deal 1 damage to a character. For 1, that's pretty good. It's kind of deflect-y, right? If you think back to the old Awakenings, yes, that had to be ranged, and it was half. I get it. No, this seems pretty good. It's conditional enough too on the deck building, right? That because you're not always going to run up to it. I think it's a good card. I think this will see play. At least because remember we lost Shin. Oh shoot, what's the one that did damage? If you could spot Shin, you'd do the damage. Shoot, I can't think of it right now. I'll put it up. Sorry, I'll put it up. But we lose that. All right, so Jawa trade route. So roll a set-aside Jawa scavenger die into your pool and resolve it if able. Otherwise, remove it to take one resource from an opponent. Now, that is the claim effect. That is not a power action effect. Okay, so obviously you put up the Jawa. This is kind of cute. It's kind of cute. It's interesting, right? The 2 blanks, but then, you get the steal, but then they have to have the money to steal. It's cute. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's, there are some decks out there that, trigger on the stair, not decks, excuse me. There are some effects out there that trigger on the stealing. So that's kind of cool. We'll see. Well, we'll see if that gets a bunch of play, but it's an interesting battlefield. And then that actually is neutral. All right, Han Solo, Charming Smuggler. This is in 11-13 for 11 health. Character pilot scoundrel with charm and piloting. Okay, so he has 1 gun, 2 gun, 1 discard, resource, and a blank. That should look kind of familiar. Power action, remove 2 charms from a character to reveal that character's controller's hand. You may choose a card in that player's hand with a cost of 3 or less to roll its die into your pool and resolve it if able. Otherwise, remove it. And by it, they mean the die, not the card. So it does make sense logically sometimes to do it on your own, right? So this is a very cool card. If you're running into somebody who's playing, I guess it just depends. If you're running on somebody who's running basically bigger die, I mean the issue with support decks, like if you're playing against the support decks, it has to be full 3 or less. But like I think that's most of what we're seeing by and large, at least now. So basically any weapon will qualify for this. Jeez, I'm struggling. Sorry guys. Basically any weapon, not all, right, like the big upgrades with no blanks and stuff, and that makes sense, right? So I think that's kind of very interesting. And the ability, I mean, I think most of the time you're probably going to be doing it on yourself. But, if you run into a spot where you don't have one, you can, and the hand, like, let's not discount the hand knowledge too, right, for sure. But spending 2 character activations effectively to do this, right? Because it has to have 2 charm tokens on it. And you would want to be doing this every round, I would think, right? For maximizing your value. So that's very interesting. What would be cool if there's like a Lando with charm. There you go. All right. Quite the Mercenary for 1. Play only if an opponent dealt damage to one of your Scoundrel characters their last turn. Heal 2 from that character and turn one of this character's character or upgrade dice to any side. Wow. That's some good stuff for yellow, right? Yellow hero with healing and flipping and yeah. Just for 1, you just remove 2 damage and then get a focus on it. Wow. Card's good. Quite the Mercenaries are really good. All right, Street Smart. Young Han here. Yellow character only. This is a upgrade ability, but it's for 0. So yellow character only. After an opponent resolves a die, you may exhaust this upgrade to resolve one of the attached character's character or upgrade dice shown the same symbol, increasing its value by 1. Sure. So if you get, and it's any die, right? Any die. Or after opponent resolves a die is what I mean, right? So after an opponent resolves a die. It doesn't have to be shooting them or whatever. So any symbol they have, you can exhaust. It's creative. Conditional, but creative. All right, base of operations. Do you want to give a shout out to Darth Yanu for the art on this one? This is one of his. So base of operations. After you use, so there's a 2-point neutral plot. After you use a PA on a card you control, you may exhaust this plot to reroll a die. Then if you control the battlefield, give a character 1 shield. Now, do note the then, right? So you exhaust this. So, I mean, granted, it's probably not going to come up a lot anyway, but there's not a lot, but it's not going to come up often that you're going to be in a situation where you could repeat it or try to do one without the other. But after you use the PA, you have to have a die to reroll, right? Otherwise, you can't do the then. But it is a may exhaust the plot to, so it's not if you do, right? So it has to trigger on a power action, but doesn't have to trigger on a power action, but you can't do the then unless you have a die to exhaust. Make sense? Makes sense. Clear as mud. No, I mean, it's actually perfectly well written. All right, Nute Gunray. So this is a huge, this card's awesome because this is a definite, no, I don't have a cap on, but nod of the cap to the OG version, right? The old 8/8, 8/11, 8 health. So character leader, the same die as before, right? Each opponent's hand size is reduced by 1 during the upkeep phase unless that opponent deals 1 damage to a character they control or 2 damage instead if this character is elite. Very creative. This guy's pretty good. I mean, so you're running him at 11 points. They have to deal 2 damage or start down a card. This guy seems pretty good with Darth Vader. Just throwing it out there. You take the damage and start down a card, or take the damage for being down a card. Seems pretty good for with Vader, right? And remember, you can still do the red card and kill him and get the reset. It seems like that might be the right answer. Yes, it does. All right, Inquisitor double-bladed lightsaber. Doesn't have Inquisitor in the name, but this is a 3-drop double-bladed lightsaber. Villain, of course, upgrade weapon. 2 melee, plus 2 melee, discard, resource, and a blank. While it's on Inquisitor, it has redeploy. That's strong in that deck, obviously. So this is interesting, right? After you resolve this die showing damage, exhaust this upgrade to roll the die back into your pool. Then you may resolve it. Otherwise, remove it. Okay, so it has to be resolved showing damage. So you have a 50% on that. But then you roll it or remove it, so you have another 50% on that. Now, it's not multiplied 50% in that case because they're not rollout dual conditional, right? Because you can re-roll and get the 2, right? So that's not where that factors in. But when it rolls in, you have a 50% chance. Actually, no, you don't. You have a 1/3 chance of resolving because you, right, roll this die back in your pool, then you may resolve it, right? You're not going to be able to resolve because it has to resolve independently. You're not going to be able to resolve the modifier, right? So you have a 1/3 chance of doing another 2, 1/3 chance of getting some value off it, and then a 1/3 chance of whiffing. Interesting, right? Very interesting. All right, Jabba the Hutt. So we are in Swag Dean's, spoiler, shout out to Swag Dean. Another reuse die here, so 11, 14 for 12. Okay, character leader scoundrel. PA, remove one of your dice to roll a bounty hunter or scoundrel die on one of your cards in play into your pool. Okay, so there's no shortage of options out there right now. There's the bike's pretty good, right? Jabba himself. This die is, so this is the Convergence Jabba die, right? So the 2 focus is good. The rest of it's not really because we don't have Reap anymore. I don't believe we have Reap anymore. So I think that's, obviously if you're playing a bunch of resource sites, he gets better. I don't think his die is especially great. I mean, I didn't think it was back then, and it's the same die now. Now, obviously, he's a bigger, beefier character. Remove one. It's remove one of your dice to roll a bounty hunter. Yeah, interesting. There's options, but it's got to be. But again, you're exchanging. Again, I don't think his dice are specifically awesome. So, power to remove one of your. It doesn't have to be his die though. All right, fair enough. All right, Dauntless, I do like this one. I like anything Jango, right? So there you go. So Dauntless, this is also a throwback to an old die. Old Legendary, actually, which didn't see a bunch of play. But so 2 melee, 1 shield, 2 shield, special, blank. And the special is deal 2 damage to a character, or 2 unblockable if the opponent has a die showing damage in their pool. Yeah. This is good upgrade. This is a good upgrade. Now, it's ability, no redeploy or anything like that. And I think that makes sense, because we have so many redeploy options out there that I think it makes sense that we're going to see a creep. I mean, and I don't mean that in the negative way that we apply creep. I think it makes sense that, because the value on a redeploy is so crucial, that in order to want to play an ability, the ability needs to be pretty good, right? So something like this, I mean, this die is fantastic, right? So this is a 2, 1, 2, 2, blank. 2, 2, 2, 2, blank. There we go. Potentially unblockable. Very strong. Very strong. All right, and then the upper hand, this card's also very good. So for 1, this is a villain event. Play only if you have more cards in your hand than an opponent, including this card. Deal 1 unblockable to a character, look an opponent's hand, and discard a card from it. So again, we get back into the, do you want to play Vader with red? Do you want to play Vader with yellow? There's options there. I think we talked about last time how Vader historically was better with yellow overall, right? Vader TTB, right? The yellow builds tended to be better with the big. Keep in mind, Vader's not a technical big in this case anymore, but he's kind of a big, right? So, I mean, this fits pretty well with that too. And then, maybe there's some sort of like 3-wide rainbow, Nute, Gunray, hand maximization deck out there as well. All right, Tiderium, the shuttle Tiderium. This card's interesting. So for 2, you have a 1 focus, a 2 focus, 2 discard for a resource a plus, and a blank. This is neutral red, support vehicle, as you would expect. So after you activate this support, choose a unique character and a subtype. That character gains the chosen subtype until the end of the action phase. Now, do keep in mind that the subtypes, you have to choose a subtype that exists. You can't choose, I don't know, something else that doesn't exist, right? We've had this conversation before many moons ago about that, where in order to choose something, it has to exist. I don't remember specifically where that ruling came on, which I don't remember specifically on what ruling that card was there, but it had come up in the past where you had to choose a legally available subtype. And by that, I don't mean in game, but it had to exist as a defined subtype in the RRG, right? So that will apply here. And I know that there's some rules discussion around that as well. All right, this card, I really like this one. It's actually funny. I'm going through Rebels with my son because he, it's a little more kid-friendly, and he really likes the lightsabers and the pew-pews. And we just saw this episode the other day. So where Gar had captured he'd captured Ezra, and he was actually inquisiting him a little bit. So anyway, 1417 for a character leader trooper with 13 health, red, obviously. This guy's good. 2 gun, 2 melee, 3 indirect, 2 shield, a resource, and a blank. Okay, so that's a mix. Those are very strong sides. Mixed damage, which is relevant. It's definitely relevant. But after you play a red event with a cost 1 or more, deal 1 unblockable indirect to an opponent. So I like this guy out of the gate with the Death Watch Mando and Relentless, right? I think that math works. That's pretty cool. I really like that Relentless plot. There's an argument here that mono red works better so that you can ensure you always have the red. I get it. I do get it. It makes sense. But having to be the ability to keep him alive and guarding him, I don't know. We'll see. This guy seems pretty strong. Seems pretty strong to me, and I think I'm definitely going to be trying to get this guy to work. I think the mixed damage is, but again, and that's the thing. Like if you play yellow, there are. Well, I guess that's mostly for hero. Actually, I was going to say there's options there for interchangeable dice resolution, but that's actually mostly on the hero side now that I think about it. So maybe he will be hampered a little too much by that. But he's a 14-17. That's a lot of points to work with. It's a lot of points to work with. So I think Gar sees play. Now, to be fair, there's not a ton of trooper support out there anymore, right? Because we lost Measure for Measure. Now, granted, Measure for Measure is a 0, so it's not necessarily the card you want on this. So I think most of the villain trooper stuff, at least. I mean, I'm not saying there's 0. There are options out there, but I think the trooper support's not as good as it. Back in Convergence, we're like, oh, look at this whole trooper package. You have conscript squad and all this great stuff, right? Because being a leader trooper is very strong. I just don't think it's as strong as it. We look at that and we're like, oh man, those are the greatest subtypes, and I don't know that they are as much as they used to be. But either way, I still think he's really, really good. Right, light repeating blaster. This is a 3, and that's not usually great in upgrades, but it's villain upgrade weapon with redeploy. So 2 + 2, 2 indirect, 1 shield, and then a special for an indirect. After you activate attached character, you may resolve this die, re-rolling it instead of removing it. So you have a 66% chance of being able to do that. And the specials deal 2 damage, then you may deal 1 damage to another character. That's nice that it's a May, in case they only have 1 character left, because you'll be taking an indirect to do it. Interesting. But you may resolve this die instead of re-rolling it. This is pretty good, right? So if it rolls out and just hits one of these sides, you just resolve it and then roll it in, and it's effectively just a free resolution. And then you have it back. So this seems pretty, I think this is definitely worth 3. 3 with redeploy also. Seems decent. All right, Imperial Justice. So villain red. Spot a red character to choose a symbol, then deal 1 indirect to each opponent for each die on showing the chosen symbol to a maximum of 4. Now that's not in your pool, that's not in their pool, that's in all pools, right? Just period. So you could... Yeah, I mean, the one issue with this is, like, if they roll out well and they have a whole bunch of stuff and be like, hit you for 4, if it's not going to kill them, then you take a boatload of damage. But I'm pretty sure that's Iden on here, and that looks really cool. Maybe it's not Iden, but it's definitely an ISF, and that looks really, really, really cool. Really, really cool. All right, so there's one more here that's official. This is Ezra Bridger, Freedom Fighter. This dropped a few hours before I am shooting this. So I'm still wrapping my head around this one, but this one seems really, 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 really good. So 912, character Apprentice Spectre with 10 health, yellow. After setup gains blue. Okay, so where's Kanan, folks? I think we know he's coming. So he's and we haven't seen him, so he's one of the hidden ones that they're saving for us, I think. So 1 melee, 2 melee, 2 reroll, 2 reroll, 1 resource and a blank. Hold on. Power action, resolve 1 of your dice showing a reroll. Rerolling it instead of removing it. Then force an opponent to discard a random card from their hand. Oh. So where I saw this and my head immediately went to some janky Finn deck. Right? I don't know what it's going to look like yet. But that's interesting, right? Like 9 for 12, 9 for 10. Interesting, right? And they have to discard a card from their hand, right? Now, keep in mind, you have to do the thing to make them discard, okay? Right, again, we kind of talked about that already in this cast. You have to be able to do the thing, because it is a then. But yeah, do that with Finn, reroll, keep it out there, ping, discard. Yeah, remember that time that Ezra and Finn were fighting the thing? Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see if Ahsoka can find Thrawn and Ezra and bring him back, and then maybe they could be buddies sometime in the future. Who knows? All right, so this one's completely unofficial. I'm not going to blow the other ones, but I really wanted to get this one up, mostly because of the art. So this is Pistachios is back with donated fan art. Really good, really good. And it's Kira, which a lot of people were excited about. So 11-13 for 11. Character leader scoundrel. 2 gun, 1 melee, 2 melee for an indirect. Discard, blank. No resource, but charm. After you deal damage to one of your yellow characters for the first time each action phase, gain a resource. That's why. power action, remove 1 charm from a token to deal 1 damage to that character. So she's coming out, she's throwing a charm on somebody, pinging them for 1 at a minimum. You could do it to yourself if you want to make sure that you gain money. Seems pretty good. I mean, she fits with Maul, right? Now, that's a mono yellow, right? So you're not taking advantage of Maul's thing. But this is very interesting. She looks really, really good. Now, there were 2 other cards spelled, but I didn't want to jump the gun on that because they're not on the spoiler channel. Like I said, we're going to be there soon enough, folks. So that is it. This set is really shaping up to be something interesting. I'll be honest, I don't know if there's a single card I've looked at and I've been like, this is real. I mean, I've definitely said these seems really, really good. But I don't think there's anything I've looked at and I'm like, oh, this is solved. This is the way to play it. It's very interesting. I mean with like the character, like, you know, the events and stuff, they will fit into the events and stuff. They'll fit into a package. I'm talking with like the characters and that kind of stuff. So this will be very interesting to see everything and see how everything fits together, and then see what everyone does with it that's right, we'll promo it at the launch party, which is not this weekend for the holiday. It's next weekend. So you have a full 10 days to get everything figured out for your launch party deck. All right. So that'll do it for today. It's like I said, we're expecting to see, hopefully it's not out before this posts. Hopefully I at least get ahead of it by a couple hours. But either way, we'll see the cards very soon. For those of you in the States, have a great holiday with your families. And you know what? If nothing else, folks, go Commando.